There's an old German saying that goes, we're not here to fuck spiders. And today you're not here to fuck spiders. You're here to learn about CPAP from the best in the business. Old mate Uncle Nico is going to show you the way. And we're taking a look at old Bobby Boy's profile. Bob's from Dunbogan, or as he calls it, Heaven's Waiting Room. And he was using an AirSense 11 device, getting pretty good results. However, he's switched to a Lowenstein BiLevel 25 ST. And now his results have gone from pretty good to God mode. We're going to take a look at that now. All right, so here we are on Sleep HQ, and we'll take a look at the AirSense 11 results to start with, and then we'll compare them with the BiLevel. Okay, BiPAP device. Now, if you don't know what the difference is between an automatic CPAP and, let's just say, an automatic BiLevel device, basically with an automatic CPAP, we really can only control the inspiratory pressure, the pressure when you breathe in. We don't really have much control over the expiratory pressure. However, with a BiLevel device, there's far more customization. Yeah, we've got inhalation pressure, exhalation pressure, and on this device we also have end exhalation pressure. Don't worry about the technicalities too much. We'll take a look at the results, and what I want to show you is sometimes if you're using a CPAP and you're still feeling tired but your AHI is low, here's some things to look out for. All right, let's take a look. So on the AirSense 11, apnea-hypopnea index of 3.86, not too bad. As you all know, anything below 5 is considered normal, even though that is bullshit. It's considered normal, 3.86, not too bad. He has an average pressure of 14.5 centimeters, daily usage of 8 hours, and low leak rates. So on face value here, great results. And this is the feedback he'd receive if he was seeing a clinician or a doctor. Well done, Bob. See you again in 6 months' time. But let's scroll down the page and dig a little bit deeper. We'll take a look at Bob's breathing. So scroll down here. And this top chart here is the automatic pressure delivery changing throughout the night. We can see it moving up, moving down, moving up, moving down in response to how Bob's breathing. That's how an automatic CPAP works. If breathing is shit, pressure goes up. If breathing is good, pressure comes down, and it automatically adjusts throughout the night. And here, the next chart is Bob's breathing. Inhalation, exhalation. So we'll zoom in here and take a bit of a look. So here on Sleep HQ, we can see every breath Bob takes in high resolution, and you can see it right here. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And we can see that over time, the breaths are getting smaller. Can you see? Breathing is getting shallow and the airway is collapsing. All right, getting smaller, 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 and then all of a sudden, great big breaths to remove the CO2, increase blood oxygen levels, all right? But then the same thing happens again, yeah? Small breaths followed by great big breaths. And this time we have this purple line here. It's a hypopnea flag, a respiratory flag. The device has said, hey, we're going to mark that flag, and those flags contribute to your AHI, your apnea-hypopnea index, which is how many breathing irregularities you have on an hourly basis. But check this out. If we scroll forward, all right, you can see once again, look, breathing is getting shallow, breaths are getting smaller, and look, the same thing again. But do you notice anything? There's no flag. So even though this is a problem, there is no flag that is going to contribute to the AHI. So we end up with an artificially low AHI number that gives physicians and patients a false sense of security. This is telling your doctor, hey, everything is okay. Low AHI, it's only 3.86. But let's scroll forward, right? Same thing again. Very, very shallow breathing. Look, again, there's another one here. It's missed it. Scroll forward again. It's missed another one right here. Scroll forward again, another one right here. right? This is not good breathing. There's one here, there's one here. I can go on for days. One here, one here, one here, one here. I'm a sleep scientist, so I spent 10 years doing sleep studies, and that's what I would do. I would manually go through and flag these events that the device is missing. And this is why so many patients start CPAP therapy and they go, why am I not feeling good? Why am I not waking up feeling refreshed? I feel a bit better, but some people have told me they feel amazing. I'm not feeling that. This is the reason, guys, right here. And I'm going to zoom out here, so I'll reset the charts by pressing R. The chart below the breathing chart here is called flow limitation, and this is a measurement of upper airway resistance. Okay, so just because the device isn't flagging events, big events, hypopneas, obstructive apneas and so on, doesn't always mean there's not a problem, because you can have no events but a whole lot of upper airway resistance, so your body is still fighting to get air in and out, right? You can think of it like a kink in the hose, yeah? You kink your garden hose, much harder for the water to come out, same sort of thing. And we can see all this yellow here, and we've got 0 and 1. And the closer these yellow lines get to 1, the more severe the upper airway restriction. All right, so if we zoom in here, you can see, we can see all the flags missed. Come on, ResMed, not very good. But we can see all the upper airway resistance here, all right? Now I want to zoom in and show you what that looks like on the breathing profile. We can see it right here. All right, so see how the breaths, see how they have this like sawtooth shape? Looks like a tooth. See the top of the inhalation phase, see how it's like cut off, it's like flatlined. You can see the bottom's like a point. But the top of the breathing is flat. That's the measurement of upper airway resistance, and you can see it's gradually getting more and more flat, and the flow limitation line is increasing in response to this flattening. Does that make sense? So that's the measurement there. So a lot of the time, if someone has a low AHI but they're still feeling like shit, I'll go in and I'll take a look at the flow limitation, and this is what I often see. Okay. But I want to juxtapose that with the BiLevel breathing. Actually, before we do that, I want to show you something else. I want to show you the advanced charts. So the tidal volume, minute ventilation, and I want to show you what to look for. All right, so I'll just click show advanced charts. And I'm not going to get too nerdy on you here, but what I want to show you is this. Can you see how the tidal volume, which is basically the amount of air flowing into the lungs and out of the lungs with each breath, is like bouncing around? See how it's like going whoop up to 640, then whoop down to 100, then whoop up to 620. This is like a measurement of how irregular your breathing is. All right, if breathing is nice and regular, we don't have this jumping up and down all over the place. Yeah, the tidal volume just remains nice and steady, and same goes for your minute ventilation. So have a look at that pattern there. Now let's compare the ResMed AirSense 11 results with the Lowenstein BiLevel results. So the apnea-hypopnea index is a little bit lower. Don't worry about the AHI, guys, not important. Average pressure, significantly lower. It's only 13 now. Daily usage and leak rates are still good, okay? But let's scroll down and check out the breathing again. And before we zoom in, just step back and just have a look at the breathing trace here, okay? So here's the breathing. Just look at how the shape of it. Look at this shape here and look at this shape here, all right? And now we'll zoom in and check out that airflow limitation. All right, so you should be able to see very clearly now the difference in the quality of each breath. So here you can see the inhalation, it's chopped off at the head, all right? But look over here, we've got these nice rounded breaths. See how it's like very even and regular? That's that wave I was talking about. And we can scroll through and it's going to be the same. Look at it, it's just beautiful. See that? And over here, if I scroll through, all right, you got the big breaths, the breaths are getting narrow, the tops are starting to get chopped off. There's no respiratory flags there. Your doctor doesn't know about this. Your clinician has no idea this is happening. You're only going to see this on Sleep HQ. ResMed won't show you this. All right, you can see the tops are chopped completely off, very, very small breaths, completely different. And if we go and check out like the tidal volume and the minute ventilation, all right, so here's the tidal volume here, and here's the tidal volume here. Now, you're always going to have some spikes. People wake up during the night and so on, REM sleep, but you can clearly see, especially the minute ventilation, it's far more stable. And same with the respiratory rate. All right, how many breaths per minute? Look how stable the respiratory rate is here. He's breathing. Look at it here. Jumping up, jumping up, jumping up. It's all over the place. So I guess you might be thinking, why? Why is the BiLevel providing superior results and really rounding out that breathing and reducing that airflow limitation? It's a really good question. And to be honest, I don't think any specialist or anyone really knows the answer. I have a theory. And my theory is this, all right? So let me show you the BiLevel stuff in action. And I could be completely wrong. It's just what I think. So you can see with the CPAP here, with the pressure, we just have this one line. So it's just one pressure moving throughout the night for inhalation and exhalation. You get that? All right? You're always just breathing against one set rate of pressure coming in. Doesn't matter if it's inhalation or exhalation. Whereas over here, you can see now we have 3 pressure lines. This device is actually tri-level mode. I don't want to blow your brains. So when Bob breathes in, 15 centimeters of pressure. Great big rush, a lot of flow. But when he goes to exhale and breathe out, it's only 11 centimeters. Much less pressure, much more easier for Bob to start to breathe out. However, we also have this middle pressure line here, EPAP, which is the end of the exhalation pressure. And the reason we have that middle line is because when you go to breathe out, at the beginning of exhalation, when you just start, there's a lot of force, a lot of flow. But as that trails off, you're more prone to airway collapse at that end of exhalation. So that's why the pressure jumps up from 11 to 13. So what you can see here is there's much more control over the breathing. It's more advanced, yeah? However, why does that improve the breath shape and the airflow limitation? I think it has to do with the velocity of the airflow as it's transitioning from that, 13 up to 15 as it goes, or 11 up to 15. All right, it's doing a great big jump in the pressure, so you're getting much more airflow. And a great analogy is this. I've got a few analogies, but imagine you're trying to push over a rock, like, that's a really shit analogy. Imagine you're leaning up against a door and you're trying to sort of like push the door open, right? But it's jammed and you're leaning into the door, and you can think of the jam as like airway restriction. The air's trying to push past the jam. Now imagine you step back from the door and you charge into the door. You push it open, all right? Boom! I think that's what's happening here. I think as we're transitioning from the low pressure to the high pressure, we get that momentum, that velocity in the airflow, boom, push down the door, push past the restriction, and you get the better breathing. That's my theory. You can call BS if you like. go for your life, all right? But I don't know what anyone else's theory is, but that's my theory. Now, let's take this one step further, because on Sleep HQ, we can also generate a detailed comparison report to compare both these devices. All right, so I'll just go full screen on this one here, and we'll come up here to reports, and we're going to go add new detailed report, and we'll go monthly. Focus month will be May 2025, because he's using this device now, and he was comparing it against, when was this? November. So we can download this as a PDF if you like, or you can click share link. It will open up in a tab, and here we have the comparison report. Now, the comparison report will give you an AI overview. If you want to read through that, it's all highlights and trends. We use AI to analyze the data, but if not, just come down here to the table. Now, something really important I want to point out here. If we're comparing November to May, CPAP to BiLevel, it looks here like there's a sea of red, and I'm going to explain that to you because it's important. So the average AHI was slightly higher for BiLevel, only just by a little bit, all right? Total time in apnea, 29 minutes versus 1 hour and 18 minutes. So 1 hour and 18 minutes over the whole month. That's a lot. That's an increase of 163%. But what you need to know, it's really important, is honesty, accuracy. How accurate is your device at reporting the respiratory events and the data? And unfortunately, as I showed you earlier in the video, the ResMed devices are not very good. I showed you the breathing trace where all those respiratory flags are missed, and you could have an apnea-hypopnea index of 3. It's more likely 13, 14, 15, and it could be as high as 30. You really don't know when it comes to ResMed. It's got a very, very negative bias when it comes to the AHI and reporting respiratory events. This one only has a slight negative bias. Let's just say a device has an AHI of 3, it's more likely 5 or 6. All right, so every device has a different bias. This one's got quite a big bias. So that's why these numbers here are skewed, right? So the ResMed here is reporting 66 hypopneas. The Lowenstein, 135 hypopneas, but I can guarantee if I was to go back and actually count the events on this device, it'd be much, much higher. I showed you this earlier. So forget about that. It's quite hard to compare device with device because it's not apples and apples, it's apples and oranges. But if we come down a little bit further, we have the leak, and this is more apples and apples. And you can see there's a bit of an improvement here in the leak, ResMed versus Lowenstein, so better leak. And the pressure, lower pressure delivery, that's important. That's why there's less leak. But check this out, the tidal volume, the amount of airflow into the lungs. Look at the improvement here, plus 60%. Less pressure, more airflow into the lungs. And the minute ventilation, how much airflow into the lungs over the minute. Once again, increase of 72%. How good is that? And this all translates into better blood oxygen levels, better gas exchange, and we can see it here. And we have improvements across the board. Okay, so total time lower than 90, 29 minutes versus only 16 seconds. 29 minutes, 16 seconds. Total oxygen drops over 4%. If you're not breathing, what happens? Your blood oxygen levels drop. And we had 282 drops with ResMed, now only 22. So you see what I'm saying here? Although we had similar results on paper with the AHI, the leak, the usage and so on, if we dig a little bit deeper, there's a dramatic difference in the quality of the breathing. Better O2 levels, better tidal volume, better minute ventilation, lower average pressure, and a better quality breathing shape. Less flow limitation. If we come down a little bit further, we also have the heart data, and check this out, heart rate average ResMed 70, Lowenstein 60, an improvement of 14%. Heart is resting. It doesn't have to beat so fast to push more blood around the body because there's more oxygen in the blood. You get it? There you go. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something new. If you did, make sure you smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you want to, and of course, make sure you check out sleephq.com. We built it to empower you guys. It's your data. You now have access. You can deep dive all you want to improve your therapy and your sleep. And if you're on the market for a new CPAP device, I can highly recommend old mate Darth here. I've just come back from Germany, where I got to see where these devices were made and meet the team. Great team, great company, quality gear, as I've just shown you. Until next time, sleep well, look after your mates, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.